Hello and welcome to Soo The Milwaukee Road. In this episode I'm just going to do a brief overview of what I've done on the railroad thus far. To start out with, I've added magnets to the yard ladder. Allows for efficient switching. They've been applied by simply adding double stick tape to the back side of the magnet and applying it to the location I desire and sticking it down. So it's adhered quite well, and they're difficult to get up, but with the aid of a screwdriver and a little bit of prying, you can pop them back up. Here we have a Broadway Limited factory painted Soo Line SD that I've done some subtle modifications. One of them is removing the tank from underneath the locomotive. It isn't too difficult to do this modification, and that's because the tank itself is one die-cast piece. Located within is the speaker of the locomotive, so I've just removed the speaker, put it up into the cab, and then modified the tank so it looks the way I want it, added the re-railers, and I've got a function or a look to the locomotive that I think is unique to it. I've also added the spark arresters, as you see atop the locomotive. I've added the single chime pair of horns. That it was a 3-chime Nathan air horn, which the Soo Line didn't have on that particular locomotive. The antenna, and then of course the beacon. And the beacon is added thanks to a Digitrax single function decoder. The Broadway Limited main decoder within the locomotive does not allow you to modify and create custom functions like adding a beacon, so I had to do my own. And I called Broadway Limited and asked them, and they made it quite clear that I can't modify it to add a beacon, so that's how I achieved the feature that you see there. Here's the last modification that I made that I'll point out, and that's the single lens on the long hood. This was achieved by simply shaving off the dual lens with an X-Acto knife, filling the 2 holes in, taking that piece that I shaved off, I cut it in half, re-drilled a hole, put the one lens back on, painted it up, put the lens in, and I think we have a pretty cool feature or function on this particular locomotive thanks to that modification. So as we move along here, I've done some custom painting. I did a 40-foot St. Croix Northern KD boxcar that's being modified to haul lumber. It's a freelance railroad of a friend of ours that does the electrical work on the railroad. So that's kind of a nice little feature to be able to have a tribute to him. We've got the Soo Line Intermodal flat car, which is accurate to the Soo Line. These are microscale decals on an Atlas flat car. That was an Erie Western. I stripped off the Erie Western and applied the Soo Line that you see here. The Brilliant trailer is also a custom painted from Don Manlick decals. He has those available, which work fantastic. This one here is a Arkwood and Rice Creek ACF. The Arkwood and Rice Creek is a private railroad owned by Gary Friesman here in the Twin Cities area. It is a freelance railroad. He models the Chicago Northwestern, but has incorporated the Ark into his railroad, which is a tribute to him. He's the one that got us into operating, so the least I could do is paint up a couple of cars in acknowledgement of the Arkwood. We've got the SCN, which is the St. Croix Northern. That's Collins Railroad again, the electrician on our railroads. We've got an M&S 4,000 cubic tangent hopper that has been stripped and modified. And by stripped and modified, I mean I take an existing tangent hopper, as this one here is in the process of. I strip the lettering off, but I don't take it all off because I don't want to re-decal it all. So it's close to what I have on the prototype, and I figure I'll decal it up as an M&S car, and we'll be good to go. So that's the process that I use for modifying my own custom cars. Here's another one that you can see the data has still been left on the car. It's got some work yet to be done, but once it is complete, it'll get one of these decals from the sheet that has been printed by Highball Graphics. My contact with Highball is Jim, who does a fantastic job. Very pleased with the decals themselves. As you can see, I've already done a few cars. And working with Jim himself, I created the artwork, but you can hire him to do the artwork if you choose to. You can contact me if you have any interest in any of the pieces that we have here. But Jim, again, at Highball Graphics does a fantastic job, and if you're looking for custom work, he's the guy that is definitely worth going to. Unless you need some artwork done, again, you can contact me or you can contact Jim and resolve that as need be. So that's all I've done thus far on the railroad itself. I'm still in the process of programming some locomotives. But other than that, I hope you enjoyed the time with Soo The Milwaukee Road. Thank you.